Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm good. I hope you're well too. Thank you so much. Actually, before I even thank anyone, I just want to say, because I always forget this in the beginning of every video, please subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel and make sure you hit the like button and turn on your notifications so that you'll know when I'm dropping my next video. There we go. Okay, cool. So to start this off, I just want to say thank you so much for all your amazing messages of support after my last video. The messages that I get in the DMs, just everything has been so special to me. It's meant so much, and it's really helped me with the grieving process. So thank you so much. And I know I haven't responded to a lot of the comments under the video, and there is a reason for that. And really, it's because I haven't actually read them yet. After I did the video, I just felt so raw, and so I literally just put it out, didn't watch it back, and I probably won't, but I definitely will respond to the comments, and I'm super thankful for you guys, so thank you. So let's get into today's video. So really, I wanted to talk about my journey to self-love, because it has been a journey, and I have been working on self-love for, I would say, like 10 years, I would say. I really feel like I had an idea of what I felt like self-love was, and actually it was the complete opposite. To me, growing up, self-love was making sure I wasn't doing anything that was too on the edge and things like that. And I guess that's like part of it, but I feel like self-love also, a lot of it is to do with your identity and who you are in this world, how you navigate through life in general, how you give love, how you receive love. It's just, there's a whole umbrella of things. And I remember I was speaking to this pastor, and she said to me, so who are you? So I began to like reel off, you know, my name's Keisha. I was in a band called the Sugar Babes. I like to sing, I like ice cream, and I like to songwrite. So there were all these things that I basically told her. And at the end of it, she was like, oh, that's good that you enjoy those things, but who are you? And I was stuck, because in that moment, I realized that I didn't really know what to say. I'd given her all the things that I enjoyed, all the things that I felt like made me who I am, but I couldn't tell her anything about like who I was as a person, because I don't think I actually knew. From the age of 12, my identity was basically just given to me. You know, you're in this group, and you know, that is who you are. And of course, that was a big part of my identity. In a lot of ways, that's really exciting, and you know, who wouldn't want to be known, you know, for being at that time one of Britain's biggest girl bands. However, on the flip side, when I stepped away from that, I felt like I had no identity without this machine. And I looked to other people, and they would go to work, they would come home. Yeah, they might do paperwork, or they might have to get, you know, things done for work, but there was a time when they could switch off. Whereas with my life, from the moment that we stepped into the public eye, so I would say about 15, I was public property. I know it sounds really bad, but I wasn't able to switch off. So for me, it would mean you have a day off, right? And then you leave your house and you just want to have time with your friends. But then you're reminded when people come up to you and like say, oh yeah, your job, let's just call it your job. And then you turn on the TV, and then it's like, oh look, there's my job on the TV. You walk into a store, if someone hasn't already reminded you, you're hearing it on the radio. So it was like, okay, well, if I'm not this, if I'm not a part of this machine, then where do I fit in? One of the hardest things about that time was I just came off the back of something, of leading a group, and it was very controversial, very messy. And so I sat there with myself, and I thought, okay, cool. I want to learn more about myself. Am I looking in the mirror and not really seeing the man in the mirror? Am I not understanding who I am as a person. So the first stop was basically tapping into my friends, people who I knew, from my childhood. I'll share with you one of the conversations that I had. So I was speaking to my friend and I said to her, how has your experience been of me? And she was basically, all my friends are really honest. So she was really blunt and she said, well, the thing is, you do kind of have like word vomit. You just say how you feel. And so like there was a lot of times where we just kind of like roll our eyes to it because the good outweigh the bad basically. And I was like, so in other words, I'm the friend who stunk and none of you guys wanted to tell me. And so I asked her to give me an example of, one of the times that basically I stunk. And she said that there was a time, I think it was like year 7, and I was talking to her about what we wanted to do when we were older. And she told me that I was saying I wanted to be a singer. And she basically was saying she really wanted to get into hair, that she really enjoyed doing hair and all that kind of stuff. And then apparently I had said to her, oh my gosh, you could do as well. You could own the store. And you could, then when you own the store, you could then like get another store and you can name it this and it could be, and I started talking about an entire franchise. Now, mind you, I wasn't this like business head. I was just very aspirational and loved to dream big, like in fairyland somewhere. And I remember walking away from that conversation and thinking, yeah, I really inspired her. Yeah. But she walked away from the conversation like, oh, damn, being a hairdresser isn't good enough. And I didn't know that until years later. When you think about our journey as human beings anyway, we come from our families before anything else. Before you go out into the world, we're from our families. And my family were always very like, they just said it how it was. Like, if you put on weight, tell you put on weight. If you're slim, you're doing this. I wouldn't have taken it in that way, or we don't take it that way with each other, because I know that uncle, that aunt, that cousin, I know that they love me. So, and vice versa stuff. And if you're not really taught, okay, words land differently with different people. If you're not taught that, you go out there and you bring the same principles into the world, and they have a lasting effect, a lasting impact on people's lives. I had to acknowledge that, and of course I felt really embarrassed, and it was really hard as well, because I think my pride wanted me to cop a bit of an attitude about it, like, you've been holding this against me vibe. But then to be humble and to really have growth, it's about accepting accountability. So whether or not I feel like I meant it in that way, that's exactly how it landed. The third lesson was about my relationship with God. I didn't really grow up in church. I kind of had like half of my childhood in church. My parents were not Christian. I guess they grew up in Christian households, but they weren't really Christians. And then my mum became born again and then started sort of like taking me and my brother to church. And so we would then, go with her. And from that moment there, we sort of all developed our own personal relationship with God. But the way in which I was introduced to God in the church that I was in, and obviously I love my childhood church, but obviously it was very like hellfire and brimstone. So when you're dealing with, and I know if anyone has come from a church background, you already know what it is. So obviously when you are introduced to God in that way, there is a part of you that sees him as this like scary person and you have to do things right. So I was doing things according to what I felt like, the Bible was telling me to do and all of this. And none of it really was connected. I thought it was, but none of it was connected to real like faith and trust in God. It was, more so just to do with the rule book of it all. And when I understood the difference between the Old Testament versus the New Testament, and how Jesus came for all people, and it's not about us being actually perfect, it's actually about us having faith. At the moment I got that revelation, it was like an epiphany. It was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm going to start actually being led by the Spirit. I had to completely be renewed in my mind and how I saw my my faith. Ultimately, once that actually happened, that's when a lot of the changes within myself became more prominent. So I had more empathy. It wasn't a case of me just like, you know, well, I'm someone who tells the truth and so that's what it is. It was actually, no, everyone's different, things land differently. So all of it worked sort of together. The next part of my self-growth journey was me separating myself from people who were not going in the same direction as me. So let me just explain this a little bit more. So there is nothing wrong with having different types of friends. All of my friends they have different faiths. They are from all corners of the earth. And I like it that way. But one thing that we all have in common is that there is a reciprocation of love, of respect, and we are just very, very honest with each other. And back then, I didn't necessarily have that. And the moment that I did that, you know, I was like a completely different person. And I tell you what, there was a time where you guys know Leona Lewis. I remember that there was a time where back, like, I'm sure it was like 2007 or 8 or something, she had a birthday party, and I remember her friends showed up for her. They, you know, surprised her. They organized this whole cake and celebration, all this stuff. And I was so like shocked. I was super happy for her, but I felt like really sad inside because I had never really had that. In my life, I never got cards. I never had, you know, people doing really like special things for me. I was always the person doing it for everyone else. I got a lot of goodness out of that. Like, it made me feel so good that I was able to do that. But when I started to grow, I was like, this friendship thing is not working. And it isn't just about people doing stuff for me, because obviously that, you know, I wasn't doing things for anything in return. However, what I was getting back wasn't even, I couldn't even depend on you for anything. You know, I would only necessarily get calls by some section of friends when they needed something. They would put me in situations that were, you know, sometimes even dangerous, and they wouldn't even say like sorry. So for me, it was a no-brainer. She had so many, you know, good people around her, solid people. I was like, what is she doing differently? And so that was a part of the decision. I decided that I was going to start hanging around more people that I would like to reflect. So I started making friends with people who reflected, who were further on in their journey than I was, and they were gracious enough to, you know, I guess give me friendship back, because I guess I wasn't trying to hold them back. I was actually trying to raise up to like where they were. I just started to attract more people that were like-minded. And yes, it was really hard for me to let go of the past, let go of those friends, because truthfully guys, my headspace was A1 day one friends. They don't go anywhere. They're the only ones you can trust. And I was definitely mistaken. So the lesson in that was literally, you are who your friends are. And once I decided that, I was like, yes, and I have arrived. Nowadays, I'm trying to not overstay my welcome. Not in friendships, not in relationships, not in any situation. I don't want to be somewhere, one, that I'm not appreciated, but also somewhere where I don't enjoy and where I'm not happy. I'm definitely conscious of trying my best to be my best self, so it does bring out the best in others. The journey of self-love is definitely, I feel like it continues until the day God calls you home. And so I have just now come to realize that now, at my ripe old age of 25, and through this entire journey, I continue to just learn so much about myself. I continue to appreciate my journey so much more. I don't really have regrets, but you know, the one thing that I do regret is when I don't listen to my gut feeling. If I can avoid the rough and have more smooth, I definitely will. But yeah, so far I definitely will say that, you know, I'm feeling good about the person that I'm becoming, and I think that's the key thing. That is more valuable than anything to me. And yeah, thanks guys for watching this video, and thank you so much for all your warmth and your love and your support. And remember, we get better, not bitter. Mwah.